This is the United Society of the Americas podcast, a podcast led by students and teachers of North Carolina spreading cultural awareness. For more, you can follow us on our Instagram or our YouTube channel at United Society of the Americas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the Spanish Club podcast. I'm with my co-hosts, Inestrosa and Ana. Our other two fellow podcasters aren't available today, but hopefully we'll see them later on.
Absolutely.
Just to introduce ourselves, my name is Eric Nguyen. I am a senior at Grace Creek High School. My background doesn't originally come from Spanish and Hispanic origins whatsoever, and I feel like with that empty canvas for myself, that I can take a lot from a lot of the knowledge that we learn from this podcast.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
myself here, I'm a Profesor Inostrosa, Moises Inostrosa, Spanish teacher at Grace Creek High School, Chilean. I was born in Chile, and now I am in here. I came here in 2019 to teach Spanish, and it's been quite an experience in here. So I got into a powerful group of teenagers and learners in here that motivated me to move beyond that interest I have for promoting my culture. So it's been wonderful ever since. And here we are with the presentation. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Ana Roman Estrada. I'm a freshman at Grace Creek High School. I'm Mexican. I was born here.
Perfecto.
All right.
Yeah.
No worries. And actually, speaking about what I was just saying previously, we actually have another mate come in who was here in the last podcast. Sony.
Sony?
We just
Bienvenida.
came from North. Hey, Sony. How you doing? Would you like to speak a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, it's always nice to, indicate who we are and what we're doing.
Oh, yep.
My name is Sunny. I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican, and I was born here in North Carolina.
Beautiful land, by the way. Beautiful land. I love specifically the nature. And when you explore the history of North Carolina, you get amazed.
Alrighty.
Okay, we're ready.
So to introduce our topic of discussion for today's podcast, our question: what does it mean to have a heritage in the USA?
Well, it's not at all a simple question, right? We will try to bring some aspects in here that we've been discussing with the team. It means a lot of things. We've been getting some outlet in here. First of all, it kind of directs a lot the attention to the look, ultimately. It shouldn't be that way. It should be like mostly focused on cultural expressions like food, dancing, literature, many different aspects. But at some point, you got to be talking about the look as well, the how people look.
Yeah.
For a reason. Okay. We're not saying it's correct or incorrect, but it happens every now and then that it gets to that thing. The word pressure also means something, especially, for some people that might feel a little bit like divided on what like cultural manifestations just to,
That you have to conform to?
Maybe, yeah. It's more like the feeling of, well, who I am really. And that happens. I'm not saying it happens to everybody really, but it's something that kind of, people might talk about that and discuss. For instance, the Latino population is a growing population that it's taking a lot of, like taking the lead, like being progressively more strong, particularly in North Carolina. And it gives you the feeling that there's a lot of, to say and to build still about that. It's a matter of identity as well. So when you say the word, as we were saying previously, the word pressure, is not the only word that comes to your mind, but it's not that everybody feels pressured about that, but the identity is almost like something they need to define. And it's I'm not quite sure if it should be that way, but for the reason it's commonly understood that way. And we also have some other things, some other issues in there, or like aspects we can point out. For instance, the opportunities and positivity, because that's also another part of particularly the Latino population. When it comes to more opportunities, there's a lot of happiness, and the main characteristics of Latino people, or they are well known by being like super dancey and getting together, going to parties and all that. That also refers to something, and the sense of belonging to a place that is also, we will say, like something like a construction, a constant process of determining where you're coming from, where you are, and all of those factors kind of influence a concept of heritage,
especially to like make do with the conditions that you're put in, like especially like going into a new area and then having to have your identity somewhat challenged. And like you say, as more and more people with that shared heritage like flow into this isolated and perhaps like place with less representation of that aspect, then heritage can be, or culture and heritage ideals can be shared.
Yeah, I think the word you use is it's more precise when you're challenged, because it's not only that you're challenged by a particular group of society. I would say that being in here and not precisely having, I do have a heritage. It's my family heritage, but not precisely being born in here. I can understand how things go, like the dynamics in here, and I wouldn't say people is like constantly pushing or indicating or like pointing out where you're coming from. It's more like really everybody's just carrying their own beliefs and their own culture, but the word challenge not always comes from a particular group, but sometimes from yourself as well. When you really work hard to working your identity into your like own personality, and it's almost like what aspects of this culture that is my mother culture and this culture that I am living in existing, I'm going to be taking to build my own personality and reflect that to the world. I see that a lot. I mean, there's a lot of different manifestations in school. For instance, you see people with different type of clothing. They like certain things like anime, or like more things related to the Asian culture. Or when you're Latino, that a kid has a heritage. It's something like you can tell whether they speak Spanish or not, whether they speak another language or not, because that's another thing, right? The language. It's something you clearly cannot escape from. You have to deal with it. And then I don't know if it's something that we have the chance in schools to talk about and to come to an agreement, or like general terms of what it means to be having a heritage. Not quite sure about that. But it's something that you clearly have in society these days, right?
I think it's something. I think the ability to, or the challenge of adapting your heritage into the social like culture or the present culture that you live in is something that people like to test a lot. Like say, you don't want to go into school wearing just basic blue jeans and a white shirt. No, you want to wear like interesting stuff that comes from your background. Like say for me, like in a time I used to wear like a jade bracelet that that I used to wear, like that my mother passed down to me and stuff, and that came from Vietnam and such. And well, I don't really wear it anymore now since
But you
it's
carry
become
it with you, like you
yeah,
have it.
it
It's
becomes
important
it
thing.
became too valuable for me to to risk
Right,
in a way,
right.
because I don't like wearing jewelry.
Yeah.
It makes me scared.
It makes it scary. Yeah, yeah, I understand that. But it's like, oh, there's always something that you need to show show
Yeah.
more like authenticity, to show that you are belonging to a group, which it might not be a group. It might be like an individual thing.
Yeah.
But then when you can all have the chance also to resonate when you're wearing certain things are different, and then you find out that someone else is doing the same. There's some sort of connection that is kind of explicit. You can always go around that, or just face it and say, well, okay, cool, we can do something. And then that's when the different teams and the different like groups, and for instance clubs emerge in school, for instance. Is like when you see that someone else is looking more or less like me, or it kind of has the same interest than me, or it has the same background. It happens every now and then. I remember the first year in here, I had one kid in the first period in Spanish too, and I never knew like anything else from her, but she should be here in school anyways, till now, might be a senior, but she dances in a club. She's from Mexico and she dances. And one time she knocked on my door and said, well, can we use the room to practice? And I said, okay, yeah, why not? But I wasn't aware that this was going to be a Mexican dance that they were preparing. So I said, well, my room is small. Are you okay with that? Yeah, we can move the desk and then put it back as it's normal. And it made me think at that time of the different groups that would practice the dances, different dances from different cultural groups in my city. It happened quite a lot. I say, wow, this is cool, because culture, or being so different in ways, because the backgrounds of my areas, the north of Chile and the south of Peru, right? You can have more or less the same like interest into preserving something. I mean, what was the payment for practicing at that time? I think it was a Friday, like at 4 or something. What was the payment for that? Like, who is giving you something because you're doing that? It's like an extra effort, but you do it because you like it, right? So I think that's something that kind of amazed me about culture. You do it because nobody's pushing you to do that, but you still do it because you want to. And I think that's great. When I mentioned the thing about belonging to a place, yes, people that we carry a heritage, we feel like we belong to a place, or we used to belong to a place, but we are in that constant searching of a common place with different people that we can kind of share. And it's more or less what happens to me as well, being far away. I have the feeling I belong to a root, but I also belong here, or I'm kind of building that territory, the common territory with people. And yeah, it was quite an interesting topic. I don't know if you have some examples of something that it's related to being, having a heritage and experiencing something that might be interesting to share.
Well, I don't want to like, I don't want to make fun of my sisters or anything, but I find, like what you were talking about, being able to look out to other cultures and stuff outside of your own, and like using that as a means to maybe make your own, to create your own self-identity and connect with other people. I find that to be pretty important. But I'm gonna make fun of my sister a little bit. All right. So occasionally, whenever they hang out at home, they listen and dance to K-pop.
Oh, K-pop.
Yeah, I know.
It's quite popular, right?
I know it's not. It doesn't sound that cool, and And sadly, I know a lot of my sister's acquaintances that I'm also acquaintances with also have an interest in K-pop. I'm not in that. I'm not in that demographic, but it's just something that I've noticed.
Oh yeah, but
but
they've got some moves, right?
Yes, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, I don't watch them.
You don't watch them.
I don't watch them like deeply, but I acknowledge that there is fun in that, and perhaps for me, I'm not really the type to really dance or sing.
You don't dance, but you
to
play
dance or
instruments.
sing, but I also see the value in that, and to be like dancing with people.
Right.
To be dancing with people in those like foreign cultured music.
Absolutely, because it's not always that something that you are forced to do that belongs to your culture. It's more like you do it because you like it, because you love it, and you get together with people to do something, and it goes out of the patterns of this modern society of always doing something because you receive something, right? It's like that is the foundation of a capitalist society. You need to produce something, right? But when you do it with no like apparent reward, rather than just being part of a group and just having fun together, it's more of the kind of the foundations of the game, like playing with things, and that's what makes you feel like, okay, well, this might not have a purpose itself, but it has a purpose like for like something more important. It kind of escapes the understanding of the logic of the market, for instance. So it's quite interesting to do something when you don't have an immediate reward, but it's something like in the long term, it makes you feel like good because you belong into a group and you're doing things because it's fun. You don't have to really justify that. It's just like art, right? There's no purpose really for art in the word, but it makes you feel happy. Imagine how would it be a life without art, without music, without literature, right? There's no point on that, or dancing. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I hope she's not mad at that.
Yeah, I
reference.
hope not.
But I don't think so, right? It's like.
I also have another thing. I don't know what the most popular genre of music is like in Americas, but whenever I can share like a song by someone like Selena with someone and like sing it with them, I find that pretty nice.
Oh, everybody loves Selena in here.
Yeah,
all of my students love Selena.
Yeah, I was surprised with how much of a reach Selena had, because before probably in like probably freshman year was the only time I really heard of Selena, and it was like in a documentary that was like talking about her life and then like her death and stuff.
I think the story is impactful, and that kind of gives it an extra emphasis on on how people love her, right? Yeah, brilliant. Well, it's a long conversation. I don't know if you just feel free to jump in at any time and say, give your impressions on this. But I think we made the presentation. Now it's time to maybe listen to some other voices in here.
Oh yeah.
We've been asking this question to people. What does it mean to be a Latino in the US? And today we've got 2 more participants that I would like to also play in here. The first one with this question to answer was it's a friend of mine called Claudia. So if Claudia is listening to this podcast, she will at some point when we upload it.
All right. Let's go ahead and take
appreciation. Yes, absolutely. Okay, here we go.
My name is Claudia Zamora. I am originally from Buenos Aires, Argentina, home of the best soccer player in the world, Lionel Messi, and Pope Francis, where tango originated back in the late 800s and where friendships are more valuable than weddings. I am a shaman, psychic medium, a holistic life coach with more than 25 years of experience. Fayetteville is my home today and has allowed me to showcase my Hispanic roots for the past 11 years. We are a melting pot of cultural flavors, and I am honored to bring my Southern Patagonian heritage. I love that our city of Fayetteville promotes arts, culture, and diversity It aligns with my soul and spirit. As a holistic healer, I am happy to help people become a more loving, unified, and caring community through compassion and tolerance. I volunteer most of my time to create the best city in our state, and that dream is finally coming together.
Wonderful metaphors on the melting pot of different flavors. I loved it. It also make me think about my own roots. Well, when I say I'm Chilean, that's cool. I mean, yeah. But when I say I come from the northwest coast in South America. That sounds like more important maybe to me. So that is Claudia expressing what it means to be a Latino. And then we also have another audio sent to us. She's coming from Colombia. Here we go.
Hi, this is Sonia Dowles. I am living in the United States for 22 years now. I came here to this beautiful country 22 years ago for reasons of love. Since 2005, I became a proud U.S. citizen born in beautiful Colombia. Anytime that I had the opportunity traveling around the world with my beloved husband, Carrie Dowles, I became a good ambassador for my majestic line, trying to do my best and being as kind as possible with everybody that crossed my path, trying to get the best impression for my own country here, US, the USA, and my homeland, Colombia. And I had always trying to show how much of a Latin being is and means to be in the planet, in the universe for all of us. Thank you.
Sending loves to Sonia then from Colombia. Some of the stories that we're getting from people, remember the question was, what is it to be a Latino? And we all have different expressions of that. So,
and also what it means to have a heritage
yeah.
in the USA.
Uh-huh.
I think with that, I think for our first speaker, I found the first speaker's narrative pretty compelling. You know, to be able to help others and use your cultural background as a service and means to help out others and also educate them in different cultural aspects.
Yeah, a variety of areas. Yeah. Right. Perfect. So I don't know how you feel about like talking about the heritage in general. If there's anything that you would like to add to it, this is the time. I feel honored to have the chance to expand, these topics and then share it to the world, because that's what we're going to be doing pretty soon. But I would like to ask now, since we're coming to the section that we are pretending to become famous for, el objeto cultural. El objeto cultural, so the cultural object. And in this case, if you, Anna, would like to explain what we have in our table right now, which seems to be like a means of transportation, right? Yeah, absolutely.
The fairy tale-like Uros Islands are made entirely from Torota reeds. The lives of the inhabitants of these artificial islands are entirely dependent upon the reed bed they live among. Torota reeds were first used centuries ago to build these islands on Lake Titicaca by the Euro-Aymara families who made their home on the lake. The local people's boats are also made from Torota reeds that they use these vessels for fishing. Even some of the Islanders' handicrafts are made from Torota reeds, and the friendly people of this community offer their work to visitors as a souvenir for their visit to this magical place. The source is Peru.travel.
Absolutely, thanks you for that. It's coming from Peru, a lovely territory, and
what's it made out of?
It's actually the Totora reeds, right? It's like the straws. It's like similar to straws, and it's a lovely boat, like like a souvenir.
Yeah, I felt that material. I felt that material in my trip to Vietnam. Like they
Really?
they use it to as like buckets to put stuff in, while it's like flooding, or they're going through like a river.
Right, right. Like all civilizations will manufacture all kind of tools to get stuff done.
Yeah. And especially the fact that like they made a whole like mini island.
Yes, that is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Like I had the chance, fortunately, to be there, and people are very friendly. What they do is they receive visitors and they give them the possibility. I mean, you can purchase these kind of souvenirs. And this one is a little boat with a lovely couple of locals dressed up and everything with the colors they use. Colors from Aymaran people, and the civilizations of the Andean range in the north of Chile, south of Peru, south of Bolivia too. So what they do is they build everything they have out of straws, and of course they take care of the territory because they build that territory to live in.
Yeah.
And I found it wonderful that it flows. They live in a floating island, and apart from the civilization, of course, all of the decisions we take nowadays, they might affect the function and how clean the lake can be. Lake Titicaca, one of the most famous ones in like situated in the higher altitude that you can find in South America. And that's why it's also important to kind of understand and acknowledge the presence of all of these tribes, indigenous people that are still, working hard to preserve their customs and everything they do. So we also show some respect with them as well. Whatever we do, any option, anything that we buy, anything that we consume, it's going to produce an impact in the world. And if it does, it's going to produce an impact in every community that we have in the world right now. So that's why it's so important to take part in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
First, knowing about the topic. Second, doing some stuff and taking some decisions, more conscious about it to help as well promote it.
Yeah, it seems like such an interesting way of life.
It is, yeah. Would you do it? Would you live in a floating island? You wouldn't live in a floating island. But there's like different ways of living, though.
I think it may be just because I think some of us here at the table here are afraid of or are unable to swim.
Swim? You swim? Well, I love swimming. My territory is. I was born like by the beach, like the coast. Yeah. Chile is like a gigantic coast, really, so you can't escape it. But I don't know. I feel it's interesting. Mm-hmm. I've always thought that I've always like been aware, like thinking about if I had the chance to be in the moon, be the first generation. I'm just like project myself in the future, the first generation of people that's gonna just live in the moon, and they offer tickets, but they say, well, you're never gonna be able to make it back. You're not gonna come back. Will you take it? I think I will be like, I go. Yeah. I'm gonna go. Yeah, of course I'm gonna miss my family. I'm gonna miss my friends in here and everything, but it feels like I always want to try something different. So yeah, we'll live in a floating island, especially if I can come back, right?
Yeah, and dude, that thing will just drift out into the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure.
In the Titicaca Lake, well, yeah. Well, they joke too. By the way, this is kind of a silly story. Peruvian people and Bolivian people, they share the Titicaca Lake, right? But they kind of joke about that because they say Titicaca, right? It's the name of the lake. But when you divide the word Titi, I'm not quite sure about what's the meaning of that, but Caca sounds like something.
Yes.
So they say whenever you are in the Peruvian area, I say, well, we show the Titicaca. The Titi area is for Peru, and the Caca is for Bolivia, and then they say the opposite when they are in the Bolivian area. I just found it interesting, but of course they work together to preserve this lake in the best of the conditions, and that I think is admirable, 100%. And the people there just like having the chance to coexist. That's what it all means, right? Having a heritage is a coexisting in this melting pot, as Claudia said.
And honestly, it looks to be like a pretty smart way of living, because I don't know if y'all have seen. I think it was the movie Waterworld, but it's like, yeah, but it's like when the whole Earth gets like, the water level rises like so far to where there's no more inhabitable land.
Okay.
So everyone's living in rafts and such.
Oh, it makes me think of that. Yeah,
and
yeah.
The main point is like trying to find like dirt and like earthly materials for like a proof of like inhabitable land.
Right. I love it. It's kind of a science fiction movie, right?
Yeah.
I love science fiction from like.
It's so weird. It's so weird calling it science fiction because it is.
It is.
Yeah.
But these people just decided to be like, there wasn't that. I mean, at some point they might have the conditions to do it, like they were forced to do it because I don't know, the hostile conditions of the land, maybe. But yeah, it's quite interesting. Well, for me, I think it's been a very nice conversation so far. I don't know if you want to jump in with the last comments before we go. Did you enjoy the conversation, by the way?
Yes.
You enjoyed it? It's wonderful just to have the time to do it. Yeah, absolutely.
For me, to have a heritage in the USA, it means a lot. Because I can express my culture by music, food, dances, and by how I dress.
Absolutely. Yeah. We dress differently, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Every now and then I just carry my like extra colors and stuff, which I like. Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity just to show the world, which is not static, by the way, right? Which is not static.
Yeah.
We can always build some new stuff out of the things that we learn from our past.
I think I was thinking about like this question in mind with this, what does it mean to have a heritage in USA? Also with that, I think another question that pops up is, what does it mean to be your heritage and to define it, and feeling left out of the current the mainstream place of living that you're in.
Yeah, it makes you feel different, but that's what we're here for, to be different, right? And to outstand, to stand from the rest, but also work collaboratively. Like, it's funny because we're looking at the surroundings, it's like there's plenty of books, different books. It's just like how we are, different books, and we all place in a different in a space, but we have different titles, different stories to tell, for that matter. So I think it's just fantastic the way it is. Just need to realize more about that. Well, for me, I'll say thank you for having this lovely conversation, for taking your time to expand knowledge about this cultural awareness. And we're going to be having our social media constantly up for people, to make some comments and join the conversation. That's our horizon right now. So pretty soon we're going to be releasing these episodes for us to, feel motivated and do some more, and for people just to jump in and become part of the community as well. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming. Gracias, Eric. Gracias, Ana. Gracias, Tony.
That wraps up the second episode.
Sí. Excelente. Muchas gracias. Adiós.
Alrighty. See y'all.